Welcome everybody to the Thinning Out Loud podcast with your host Dan, that's me, and Liam.
Hi, that's myself.
Here we talk about games, movies, and stuff that generally takes our fancy in the world over the last fortnight. I'm going to start it off because Paris Week, Games Week, was
Just
last
happened.
weekend. Was it last weekend? It was last weekend.
Was it last Monday?
Yeah, Monday, yeah, I remember.
Something like that.
Staying up late on Monday night and watching all the stuffs. No, it was Tuesday night before work. It was fun.
Right.
There was the conference thingy that they did. It was like an hour pre-show where they showed lots of indie games and the lots of just four people talking out their asses for a while, and then they jumped into the actual
Vamping.
pod. Sorry.
Called vamping.
Yeah, and they jumped into about 40 minutes worth of actual conference, which was I felt it was okay. It was a little bit short, not short, but short in the way that it just didn't feel like they explained much about what was going on. It was just kind of like here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer. All right, we're done. See you later. Have fun. Whereas I think I would have liked to see a little bit more explanation done on some of the games. Maybe have a few developers come out and talk about their games and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I like the trailers. The trailers they showed were really good. But I would have just liked to know just a bit more about games that are apparently really, really close.
Right, like Spider-Man and Detroit
Yeah.
Become Human.
Yeah, and apparently they did really. Insomniac just did something today or the other day. They live streamed. They did their own kind of revision of the trailer, and they dropped some more hints that there'll be more more villains, more costumes and other gameplay mechanics that they haven't shown in any trailers, which is a little bit uplifting for me, I think, because I was worried that it was going to be very limited in the amount of actual content that it was going to have, seeing as like Spider-Man 2 had a shitload of content. It had like heaps of villains in it and stuff like that, and if they backtrack from that, I feel it's like a little bit, I don't know, I have a problem with games these days not having much content and being pretty and all this kind of stuff, even though a lot of games that we're playing at the moment have lots of content. But like, if this game that's brand spanking new doesn't have as much content as a game that came out in 2005, then isn't that a problem in some ways?
Yeah, but in the same breath, you can't really compare stuff from the past to now.
I don't know if it's like the same like character. I think you should be able to compare it.
Yeah. Well, we won't know till the game actually comes out.
That's
Did
a
they
good
actually give a date of
No.
when that was? Or was it just still next year some stage?
2018. They didn't even, yeah, with God of War they put early 2018, and then everything else
Right.
was just 2018.
Right.
Or
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I would like to see a little bit more ahead of time. Although that being said, that does sort of border into the spoiler territory
Yeah.
if you see like every villain that's going to pop up.
But that's
And
the thing is, like, if they've only shown like 2.5 villains, because like Norman Osborn isn't even confirmed to be a villain because he's running for mayor of the city.
Yep.
Or he is mayor of the city trying to get re-elected, so he's I don't know. Is it kind of like a Lex Luthor being president sort of thing? It's kind of like behind the scenes that he's doing all the bad stuff. And then they've only shown Kingpin and this Mr. Negative guy. How many more villains are they actually going to have in the game? If they're not actually willing to show like 5 or 6 villains and then have like 20 villains in the game, if they're only going to have like 7 villains in the game, because they're only showing 3, then so far, then I'm a little bit concerned, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. I suppose they're probably just keeping their cards close to their chest, and they might when you actually get to the game and get closer to the game, you'll see that there's like 10 or so, or they're just trying to keep it secret on the down low. Or it could just be those 2, 3 that goes there.
Oh man,
you don't know.
I'd be so angry. And then they did like 3 villains, and then like did 20 in a DLC later on or something like that.
That'd be annoying. Because then you'd have to pay for that shit.
Exactly.
I suppose they have to also be a little bit careful, because I don't know what the deal is with Marvel, if they can actually use, like, say, the Vulture from Spider-Man movie. or not.
Yeah, I think that's why they're not using certain things. Like, it doesn't look like Tom Holland. It's a completely different story. I think
True.
it has to be that way, and I don't
And
think
there
they'll be
is a
using.
yeah, and there is a direct reference to Miles Morales as well
Yes,
in the thingy
yeah. So
in
I
the
think
message trailers.
it'll be up to date because I've got Mr. Negative in it as well.
Hmm.
So it'll be Sony's take on it in a more up to date way.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um, what else did they show? They showed God of War. That looked really good. I know you're not overly interested in that.
Nope.
But it looked really good. The battle system was a little bit more fleshed out. And the fact that the kid talks a lot is fleshed out as well, which is
Is
a
it
little concerning.
good conversation or is it bad conversation?
It's just like behind you, look over there. And it's like
Right.
all throughout the combat, it was quite like
So he's essentially a small terrified child of watching this big dude who's apparently
pretty
his dad
much.
being
It makes
smashed.
sense. It does make sense, but like it almost kind of was intrusive. It was on. Yeah, I don't know if they'll
Hmm.
probably lessen it. They're probably just trying to show the amount of like lines that he has or something
Yeah,
like that.
fair enough. They're probably trying to show he's not a silent,
Yeah,
character that just wanders around and does random things.
yeah. He actually tries to have a part in the actual gameplay. That's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Then Last of Us 2 got a trailer, which we'll talk about later because I want to talk about that in depth.
Okay.
Detroit had a new trailer, which was really cool. I liked that.
It was.
The old man getting abusive towards his daughter and the um, droid not knowing what to do. Like, it's just standing there, and you have to make the choices of what it's going to do, whether it's going to rise up against this domestic abuse or if it's going to let it go on, sort of thing.
Yep.
Um,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
One thing you can say about Quantic Dreams is they do a decent game full of
oh
choices. The
yeah,
last
choices. Yeah,
last two games were pretty good.
yeah.
Um,
I
I've
wasn't
only
overly
played one of them though.
interested in Concrete Genie.
Mm.
I mean, it's a kids game, so I guess that's probably why I'm not overly interested in it.
Yeah, fair enough. I watched a trailer for it. I thought the
Yeah.
trailer was fairly interesting. Fairly interesting.
It looks nice, and it looks pretty, and it looks playful. But it's just, I don't know, it's a bit below my
Mm.
level, I guess.
Yeah, fair
Get
enough.
on my level, son. Yeah.
Fuck off.
And then the shocking thing of the release was Ghost of Tsushima. I don't think I'm saying that correctly, but anyway,
Certainly better than I am.
which is about like some kind of samurai ninja dude who goes around fucking up some shit. I'm guessing you're probably in some kind of vengeance or something. I don't know.
Yes, so there's a little bit of history behind it.
Oh,
It's the Mongol version of China. It's where
Oh.
it's based in. So, Genghis Khan had his son called Kublai Khan, I think his name was.
Yeah.
He invaded. Had a massive plan to invade Japan. And it didn't. They sort of got a foothold in Japan, but they sort of did not. There's a whole big story. There's a whole story of there's this really massive, once in 100 years sort of storm came through and just wiped out the entire Mongol fleet and put a pin in the whole entire invasion.
Gold
And
set,
apparently
don't
it's yeah. And apparently there was that's one of the only few times that the samurai were all sort of their own sort of clan behaviors. It was the only time the samurai ever actually sort of grouped together to fight
Right.
a common enemy.
Yeah.
So that's what it's loosely based off that.
That's kind
And I
of
imagine Tsushima, wherever that is probably like a city that might
Yeah.
have been the first one to fall to the Mongol
right.
fleet. And I'm guessing your guy's sort of the last one,
Yeah.
last samurai from that village, and he's wreaking vengeance in the Mongol
Wait.
horde.
The big bombshell with that game was that it's being produced by Sucker Punch.
Yep.
Which is of fame of creating Sly Cooper and
Mhm.
Infamous series, which
Mhm.
both series are absolutely amazing, very very underrated games. Well, I mean, Infamous gets good ratings, but Sly Cooper is very underrated.
Yeah, the first two got good ratings. The
Yeah.
third one, second, so it's sort of
Third one.
middle.
But very interested to see what kind of game it is. Whether it's like a linear kind of game, whether it's an open world kind of game, whether it's like a combat kind of combo kind of battle style, or some kind of different way of doing things.
Yeah, from the trailer, it looks like you're very much a lone samurai doing like
Look-
sneaky ninja stuff, just like popping up and
Yeah, I
coming
wasn't
across
sure if
sort of-
the combat they showed in that was CG or whether it was
Yeah.
actually in game. It was very hard
True.
to tell.
Yeah, very.
So
It looks good though.
it
That
looks
trailer
good.
was pretty good.
If that is combat from the actual game, then that's going to be an intense amount of like just bloody mess of swords and guts. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
All right, then I guess that's pretty much Paris Games Week done. I didn't pay any attention to anything else that came out of Paris Games Week. I don't know if anybody else did. I think it was just the Sony stuff that everyone was really interested in.
Yeah, probably.
I guess you're up next.
Excuse me. So that's more of a random factoid that I spotted in the interwebs. Apparently, Ubisoft has used really accurate hieroglyphs in the advertising for Assassin's Creed Origins. So instead of like it just being a random script of saying
Just
absolutely
Photoshop
fuck all.
together.
Exactly, it actually has a proper sense. It essentially recites the sort of a very early version of the Assassin's Creed
Creed.
essentially. It's annoying saying Creed. So yeah, it's actually translated. The story goes that there's this woman who is a Egyptologist essentially, and she can slightly understand the hieroglyphs. So she copied them all down and took photos and all this sort of stuff, and then translated them out. So it's a nice little touch that Ubisoft actually did proper research. But they always have done proper research in all the Assassin's Creed games. Although being a fictional assassin, you're running around assassinating people, so hey, how accurate is that? But it just was an interesting little fact that they actually went and did
cool. I like that.
the research. Yeah, it just was a cool idea.
All right,
Anyhow.
we'll back to
Tiny little fact.
we'll go back to some of the what do you call it? Media. What would you call it? It's a big deal. I don't know. All right, a big deal that's come from Paris Game Week has been the Last of Us trailer. So the Last of Us trailer features what I would probably call ultra violence, and that it is violence to the point where it is hard to watch in a way. It's disturbing, but I don't think I mean that in a negative way. I believe that these are like Last of Us games I would not let my children play until they were like ready to buy their own games and their own consoles and stuff like that, when they were like a much older and more grown up kind of fashion, just because they are meant to be violent. Those are meant to be realistic games of what the world would be like if we had no rules, no laws holding us back. So in the trailer, a woman is like strung up by her throat, tortured with a knife, and then another woman is gets her arm broken violently with a hammer. And yes, it was disturbing, but I think that's the point, and I think it's not something to get butthurt about, like most of these media kind of evangelists are doing. It's just something that we need to be more aware of coming into games and things like that, as we get more fidelity. And I mean, I think games have been violent for so long. I mean, like Doom had just crap loads amounts of blood and guts and stuff like that in the very first games. But it's just because there's more fidelity to it, you can actually tell what's going on properly, that I think people are getting a bit more up in arms about it. PlayStation has come out defending it, saying that it is a game made by adults for adults to play. That they're not trying to make a game for kids. And it's in my eyes it's perfectly fine, but we do need to be careful about who is playing these games and make sure that they are being put in the right hands.
Do you think it's more the equality police jumping up and down saying
The thing is, it was a woman beating
violence?
up a woman. Like they're all going on about domestic violence and women getting beaten up and all this kind of stuff. But the thing is, it was a woman doing the savage beating. It wasn't a man doing it. So I don't know what their twist on it is. Is it because I can't understand the sexism kind of take that they're taking on it either.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to pull strings and bring up the whole violence in video games again, which,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we've always had a history of violent video games. I mean, if you look at Assassin's Creed, that's fairly
Mm.
violent. I mean, you're using sword and spears to like
Yeah,
rip people apart.
yeah,
If you go back to For Honor, if you go back to the infamous slash famous scene in Grand Theft Auto where you torture a poor chap.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know,
I remember those.
it's always been a video game, so I don't know why they're jumping up in arms about this particular.
No,
But it's not like they're real people being tortured.
no.
So yeah, I'm with you. I kind of don't understand what the hubbub is about this. Yeah, I just don't understand it. It doesn't.
It
I don't know.
doesn't need to be blown up in this proportion.
No, it is violent, but as you said, it's a game designed by adults for adults.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna let your like 5-year-old child go play Last of Us 1 or 2 because even the first one's pretty bloody violent, especially if you're caught by a clicker.
And if you do, you need to stop and think about the choices that you're making with your children, because though it's not the right thing to do, you should not be doing that with your children. And I'm sure people hate being told of what they should do with their children, but if you're showing them these kinds of games, then yeah. Again.
Yeah, you need to pick a better game.
Yeah.
Concrete Genie's a good one. It's a little bit not violent. So,
although speaking on that, there isn't overly that many games these days for kids.
fair point.
Not many games come out every year for children to play. They're all being focused on older teens, adults, and the likes that can actually afford to buy them, which makes sense. But I think there probably does need to be more games coming out for children and more targeted advertising and that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's next? You're up next.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a movie you don't like because I know you don't like it, so I'm going to annoy you for it.
Wonder Woman.
Yes, apparently it is the highest grossing origin movie. Apparently it beats out the 2002 Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire by about $400,000.
That's pretty good.
It's like the origin movie. So the first like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America beats the origin movies, not the ensemble one. So it doesn't beat, say Batman vs Superman or Avengers,
Iron Man and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Right. Spider-Man was the closest, the highest one at the time. Inflation sort of skews a little bit. Inflation skews up to 1.1 billion, but if you go from that 2002 to 2017, it beats it by about $400,000. The total amount is $821.74 million. So, yeah, so it made a fair amount of money. So just a small thing. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's an origin movie that was completely brand new.
Cool. That's cool. I'm okay with that. I mean, the fact that it made a lot of money doesn't attest to how good the movie is. So it's fine.
Yeah, they kind of put everything in the trailer, as I think you said it ages ago.
Yeah.
They put all the action bits in the trailer, and they only kept like one little secret out of it. But I think most people probably saw it coming.
No, I didn't.
Well then, yeah. Well, to be fair, you don't see most of the twists coming. I tend to spot them halfway through and go like, "Oh," I nudge you in the shoulder, and like, "Oh, look, it's coming."
I used to be very good at that kind of thing. I'm not good at that kind of thing anymore.
It just happened to you in Assassin's Creed, so
yeah, it did.
Oh my god.
All right.
Yeah,
so
back to you.
Back to me. Elix. Don't buy it. Don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. I know 2 weeks ago I was championing this game, and I realized the error of my ways. Please, people, do not buy this game. Or at least wait a couple of years. If you were listening to this in 2020, then maybe it turned out to be a good game.
Maybe they fixed it enough to be good.
Yeah, it's just not fun. It looks okay. The world is okay. The genre was really interesting. The voice acting was good. The lip syncing was terrible. The storytelling was actually quite good, but the actual just combat of the game is just not there. It's hit and miss, mainly leaning towards miss. Literally because you can't hit anything, and when you do hit something, you do no damage. When you get hit by something, you take heaps of damage, even from very basic monsters. And then they throw you into a camp with 7 enemies, which you just one can't hit, do no damage on, and take lots of damage from. So it's just not balanced enough, and the animations aren't good enough to warrant it either. Like in Witcher 3, you did kind of dance around a little bit. Yep. But the animations kind of explained that, in a way you were like spinning around, you were moving and all that kind of thing. It felt good even if you missed your target. Whereas this, you kind of just roll at your target blindly, and then you swing a couple times and you do nothing. There's a combo system which just is it's just non-apparent. There's just no point to it. So I got a refund. Yay! Thanks Steam for refunding my money. And I bought a game that I'll talk about later, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, that reminds me of a game called Technomaster that came out I think a year or two ago, which had the sort of same problems, except like when you were like max level character and you're fighting off like apparently low level scrubs, they were still had like health to match yours, so it would take forever to get past a bunch of low level scrubs. So,
I hate that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's just like I understand them trying to do the whole Dark Souls kind of thing, where like the battle is difficult, but like a dog should not have more health than you, and you with an axe should not do less damage than a dog with teeth. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you've got an axe, so you should be able to like hit the dog like twice, and the dog just dies.
Exactly.
Whereas you hit it like twice, and it's still like over half.
Make sense. Yeah.
No. Yeah, but I mean, it's I don't know. It's a testament to like game making. Not every game's going to be perfect. There's never going to be a perfect game because it just doesn't exist. Yeah, I was very confused, but I just watched the trailer and I was like, I've got no idea what's happening. I don't want to touch it. I'm kind of glad now I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, we've all have the stink-ass purchases that we've all bought. We've all I don't know, gone like, oh no, why did I buy that game?
Yeah.
Bought on
that was my next topic. So, yeah. You're up, big guy.
Not that big. So going back to Destiny 2. I think it's a good old time cycle of Destiny 2. Apparently there was a Activision. A little bit. Probably.
I'm not. I haven't played it for a week or two.
Yeah, fair enough. So apparently there was an Activision sort of board meeting thing when they go over the money debate and all that sort of thing, counted in stacks. Apparently Destiny 2, more than 50% of its sales were all digital, not physical.
Whoa.
Which is apparently a step up from how much they sold on the 360 go back 3 years.
Yeah.
Where apparently only 10% of sales on the 360 were digital. I'd imagine it'd be very similar on PlayStation.
More people are doing digital rather than actually going into the store and buying a game.
Which leads into, the world is slowly changing how we buy games. Instead of buying a physical disc widget thing that you plug in, we're just going for the convenience of pure digital. Which makes a little bit of sense. So it gives you.
It would help you out. I know you love your physical copies, but you always have to go down in the morning a game comes out and collect it. I know sometimes you've missed it.
It's fine. I prefer to sleep. I don't want to get up at midnight and go and fucking see the thing. It gets me out of the house for half an hour, an hour.
Me, I'm like, I need to play that game as soon as it comes out. So
I used to be like that. But yeah.
I love the whole digital games because you can pre-order them and then they'll download like a day or two before it actually comes out, and then it'll be like available the minute it's available, sort of thing. So I do like the whole.
It's not every game. It's some games I have like got straight up, like Mass Effect Andromeda. I actually signed up to EA Access to play the 10 hours access, whatever you want to call it, early access. Then I closed EA Access because it's a rip-off and I don't like EA games for the most part. So I did that. There's one or two games where I will do that, but in general, I kind of like a physical thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm slightly older and I'd like to have a physical thing and I don't quite fully trust digital.
Yeah. I don't know if I trust it yet because like, where does it go? Like, I don't.
Disappears into the cloud.
If I lose my PlayStation account, I've lost all those games, sort of thing. So, which I don't think I'll ever lose my PlayStation account.
Unless someone steals your PlayStation and you forget the password.
They change the password and I'm just locked out of it forever. Fuck.
Or you forget your password entirely.
No, you just click the not forgotten password button.
Yeah, but what if you forget what email account it's linked to and you're like, oh shit, I forgot everything.
Have complete amnesia of PlayStation related things. Maybe that'd be helpful to my life.
Save you some money.
Definitely save me some money, which is a big topic at the moment. Anyway, So was that a Destiny? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I was going to mention Curse of Osiris, the
Okay.
first expansion
Out hopefully
DLC,
next month.
whatever. Yeah, December 5.
Oh, cool.
Adding new source of space, new patrol space, raid content, whatever the fuck that means, new
Oh,
guns. Yeah, when they say raid content, that means is it a new raid or is it just added stuff into the current raid? It's like,
it,
what are you doing?
that's
Makes
weird.
sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. New guns. Apparently, they're bringing old guns back in. So
Oh,
apparently, someone spotted in the trailer that they're bringing Telesto, the fusion rifle, and Jade Rabbit, the scout rifle,
yeah. Okay. As
back
long
in
as
apparently.
like
So
they
I don't know.
they don't just bring back old guns and they actually start making new guns because
And they don't reskin the current shit.
Iron Banner, fuck you. Just, yeah.
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 Anyhow, apparently they are working on the token system. They're apparently going to do some more things to
Oh,
make it
cool.
different. Apparently at some stage. So I don't know.
I,
Hopefully we don't have to wait a year.
I feel like they need. I want them to add checkpoints into raids. I mean, it can't be that hard, can it? I mean, and that's the only thing that stopped me from going back and actually finishing that raid because we started it, we got about a third of the way through, and we couldn't get any further because it took us 2 or 3 hours to get that far.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a 6-hour time suck to
No.
get everyone in online
It's
for
too
6 hours
long.
to go and do a thing. Because yeah, it's a little bit too long. It does need a checkpoint, like say in the current Destiny raid, say after every of the side
Major
rooms.
events, yeah.
And then there's a checkpoint. You can come back with the same group of 6 people and
Yeah.
stuff, but it has to be the same group
Yeah,
of 6
I wouldn't
people.
mind that. I don't want it to be every like 30 seconds or every like
No.
every hallway or anything like that. But after a major piece of content, you should be able to have a
Yeah,
break.
essentially
back.
a save point, so you
Yeah.
can if it's late at night or whatever, you're tired, you want to quit, you want to blah
Exactly.
blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 hours is a long time to play, and I thought we might be able to
Yeah,
do it and
yeah.
cut it down, because we apparently are good at that game, but we're not apparently either at the same
No.
time.
Now, while it is called in-game content, it is meant to be hard.
It's supposed to
so,
be hard, yeah, but yeah, it's just this.
But where does the hardness stop?
Well, it's not. It's not even like wasn't finding it hard per se. I mean, that last round where we were in the baths and we were just getting our faces smashed in, it wasn't because it was hard. It was just because we had our timing wrong and then we just couldn't quite get it all working together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my next one is that Anthem's lead animator has quit BioWare, so he's no longer there. So that means Anthem is without an animator, although it is only about a year away from coming out anyway. So I'm
So you
probably
think most of
thinking
the work will be done?
exactly. I think most of like the ground kind of work that he would be in charge of is probably all done. I'm sure a lot of the like kind of the smoothing out and the kind of texture kind of side would be still going, but not as hard to do without.
I highly doubt it was like an instantaneous release. I'm sure he's been talking to his people for a while, saying, "Yeah, I'm going to leave at this date," and he's been training his 2IC or whatever to do the job. So
I don't think
it's probably not the end of the world.
Like, I'm not sure how often that happens in the world. I mean, like, actually, people just straight up quitting. Like, I think it probably would be the case, like you said, of just him just resigning and then just leaving when it was.
Well, it happened to someone else from BioWare as well.
Yes.
One of the lead story writer, Mike Laidlaw, who did the story for pretty much Dragon Age and Jade Empire and so on and so forth. Not Mass Effect. He wasn't quite on hand with that one. Right. He left a couple of weeks ago from BioWare as well. So I think he said he got the next Dragon Age story to a certain point he was happy with, and he just decided to step away and go do something else, which makes sense. I mean,
so he confirms that there's a next Dragon Age.
Apparently there is. I mean, they left enough loose ends in the Dragon Age Inquisition to keep going.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, can't do any worse. Inquisition was pretty decent. It was fairly large, and I got sick of it halfway through. But I did finish it at some stage.
I finished the story. I don't remember it at all. I didn't defeat all the dragons, though.
I think I got like 3 of them.
Yeah. I remember getting to like the 3rd one, and it was like at the same level as me. And I didn't want to grind to have to like actually defeat it.
Yeah.
He had been there for 17 years though, apparently.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, do you think he just was retiring early, or?
I think he just got bored and wanted to go do something else. I mean, if you work on like the sort of same franchises for 17, well, say 7 years for Dragon Age, or 10 years, whatever, how long it is. I'm sure you'd get bored of it and you want to go do something else.
You'd seem like you're committed though. Like, like you're not really gonna. I guess he's got lots of talents that he can take somewhere else.
Yeah, he's actually the writer, so he could actually, if he wants to go write
Oh
a
no,
book,
I'm
he
talking
could
about the
go
animator.
write a book.
Sorry, still.
Animator.
He's been there for
Yeah,
some
well,
time.
it's the video game industry. It employs well over 200,000 people, so you
Yeah.
could probably go get a job somewhere else quite easy. So
Maybe he should go work with THQ Nordic and Piranha Bytes Games and teach them how to animate combat.
and work on the hitboxes some more.
Yeah, yeah. All right then. What was your next bit?
That's it. I got nothing else.
Oh, you got nothing more? Okay, I got one
I'm
more.
all done. I've done all my stories.
EA is asking fans to keep old Battlefield games that are online to cease and desist. So they've sent out letters to websites and servers that have Battlefield on them that people can go back and use to stop doing that, on the grounds that they are possibly misleading people who go to their websites, making them think that they are affiliated with EA, and that they are not allowed to use logos, trademarks, and other likes. But basically worded it like they're not allowed to wear the dog tag of EA. What do you think of fans doing that kind of thing of setting up their own server, putting the game on there and keeping it alive for the fans' sake? Do you think that's fine? Do you think that's a shitty thing for EA to actually do, or what? Where do you stand?
I don't know. It depends. If like the server was being run and operated by a fan and they're looking at their own cash run server, then EA should just be like, yeah, go fucking nuts. We don't care. But on the other side, it is EA's game. They worked on it for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, and it's their property. So I think there needs to be a little more give and take there.
Yeah.
I know going to another studio, I know Blizzard have had issues with people trying to run World of Warcraft vanilla servers, and they've been trying to like shoot those things down for forever and a day.
That's because they're bringing out a classic.
Yeah, but they didn't say that last year when they shut down the last group of people trying to do a vanilla server.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a little bit of a dickish move to say, hey, sorry, we know you love this game, but fuck off with our stuff. Don't do this anymore. It seems a bit dickish.
Yeah.
So, I've got no idea. I think it's a bit of a dickish move on the developer side to say, no, stop playing the game.
It's overly necessary. If someone wants to do this and do it off their own back, just let them go hard. I mean, it's not. Could it be like damaging their revenue from new games? Maybe, but probably not to the point where it actually makes a difference.
It could actually be a positive because it makes people see like, oh, so this is the original one. I would like to see where the new one is, and then they go out upon the new one.
People that like play original games like hate new versions of games.
Sure, they bet you moan about
it. They do.
I never got that.
Maybe someone should set up a Spider-Man 2 server so I can go play that and stop Spider-Man.
I'm sure you can probably find a ripped copy somewhere in Pirate Bay or BitTorrent.
It's probably on Steam.
Probably is.
I'm not going to check that.
Okay.
I guess that's pretty much it for that. Now we're moving on to Consumer Corner. I don't know. I'm still working on things. I haven't actually. No. I'll change it. I'm not still. I'm still working on it because I haven't started working on it. Every fortnight, I just.
Horrible. But this is entertaining.
Well, you know. So my one is my first consumer game is Battle Chasers. It's what I bought with my refund from Steam.
And I told you to go buy it.
Yeah, you did. I checked it out after you told me. It got really good reviews, and it's really good. It's got a really cool art style. I like the art style. It's very anime kind of Final Fantasy. Well, not Final Fantasy, but it's kind of it's just cool looking. It's got good attacks, and it's a turn-based dungeon crawler. Sorry, pardon me. And it's very cool. The story seems okay. The kind of what would you call it? Character progression is quite good. And the special effects of the attacks are kind of cool, and the comboing that you can do with your characters is really cool. Like one character has the ability to make characters bleed, and then another character has like a special attack that damages enemies that are bleeding more. So it's kind of like comboing your characters together and bring like attacks and things that will do more damage and stuff. It's quite cool. It
That's pretty
isn't forgiving though. Like you do, you can
So if you
lose
make a
quite
mistake,
quickly.
you're gonna die.
Yeah, well, not to like a extreme degree, but yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
it's quite good though. It's not like punishing, but I failed a dungeon. I just turned off the game. I was done. Yeah. Then I
Fair
came
enough.
back later. I came back later, turned the difficulty level down, and let another go. That's good. So yeah, that's my game. What's your do you have a consumer game?
Assassin's Creed Origin. Let's
I
pump up Ubisoft for more.
I second that one. That one's actually
I
really
like
good.
it so much. I like it. It's a good story so far. It's the combat's much improved from the first one. The
Yes.
previous ones. I didn't particularly enjoy pressing Y at the right time to counter. Whereas
No,
this one
yeah.
is a lot more open, and if you don't pray at the right time, you're gonna die.
I am finding myself relying on my heavy axe a lot more than like using a lot of the other weapons. And on even assassinating, I'm not doing that as much. I am occasionally I'll just run into a group of enemies and just
Yeah.
slaughter
I-
them with my axe.
I think me and you have two different play styles. I
Yeah.
personally prefer to stick up high with my bow and
yeah,
nail people in the head as much as possible and
I
just
can't
try and
shoot in that
stealth
game at
everything.
all.
I'm okay with it. There's a little bit of aim assist in there
Yeah.
that just
Yeah, I've
little
noticed that.
bounce off to the head.
Yeah.
So
I've noticed that, like,
I play differently from you. I think you tend to prefer to sort of like almost charge in there face
I
first and just
like
try
to
and
get in
swing.
there and assassinate a bunch of guys, and then if I'm discovered, I'm not afraid to just slam.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I tend to play like stealth first. If I get spotted, I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll also try and kill
Yeah.
everybody, and that normally doesn't work for me. I normally
I probably die a lot more than you do, probably.
I like the gameplay. I like the weapons. I like how the loot system's different enough that
Yep.
there's different weapons, different perks.
Yep.
The only grumble I've got, I think you might have the same one, is that there's no mini map and it drives me up the wall.
Oh,
I just what I find annoying is you get in the city and I'm like, I've got no idea
Yeah.
which way to go now. I don't
I-
know the roads.
I
don't wanna go
because
into the
it's
big
got
map.
the compass, you end up just heading in a single direction, just kind of going over buildings and ignoring everything around you. Which, if it had an actual mini map, like you say, you'd probably actually use the roads more and actually see more of what they want you to see, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it probably could do with a mini map,
A map.
and like being able to, like you said, being able to see where a well, you said this the other day, actually being able to see where a restricted area's limits are.
Yep, where it starts and where it ends.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are, like as you did point out, there are red flags
Yep.
around the edges, so it does help a little bit, but still, it's
Still, yeah.
still a bit annoying.
Yeah.
I
I can see
suppose
where
it,
you're coming
it
from
makes
with
the game more cinematic, I suppose,
Mm.
but it's still a bit frustrating
Yeah.
at times.
Yep.
Yeah,
that. The map
I,
is
I like
huge, by the way.
it's huge.
Huge.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit farther, and I'm
Yeah,
down
you're way
south in
farther, aren't
Fayum. Yeah, I'm down in Fayum, and it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
Lots of nice, like little side jobs and stuff in between there and then. It's sort of just like slowly move away south.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big game.
Very
Yeah.
very cool. I don't think I'm going to finish it, unfortunately, until I maybe come back later if I buy it. I'm borrowing it from my friend currently, just because
Yep.
money. But
And
yeah.
money.
All right. Well, the consumer movie of the fortnight is definitely going to have to be Thor.
Definitely, for sure.
It's such a good movie. Holy crap!
Such a good one.
Such
Yep.
a good one. Definitely,
So
I
f-
think it's definitely now in my top 5.
What is your top 5?
Why'd you have to ask me that? I don't know why. I
Because
brought it
that
up.
was a good lead,
Yeah,
and I had to
well,
segue into
why-
something.
Brought it up. This is going to take a while. I haven't thought about this at all. I just said it.
Is it just Marvel movies, or is it movies all up?
No, top 5 Marvel movies. Sorry, I should have.
Oh, okay.
I should have done that. Top 5 would be Doctor Strange #1. Captain America: Civil War. This probably changes every time I say it, but Captain America:
That's
Civil
probably mine does as
War
well.
2, Avengers 3. Are we including 20th Century?
Right, so Spider-Man.
X-Men and Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, why
Yeah.
not?
Okay, so there would be Deadpool 3, Avengers 2. Oh no, I gotta put Spider-Man in there somewhere.
Should I give you my top 4 because I'm
Spider-Man
at 5?
4, and then Thor probably 5. We'll go
Fair
with
enough.
that. We'll go with that.
Mine, I can't. You know, there's like number 5 is like equal to the ones I don't have in the top 4.
Yeah.
Top 4 would be like Winter Soldier number 1, Age of Ultron number 2, Doc Strange number 3, and Deadpool number 4, and then
Cool.
5. Everyone's sort of like
Equalish, yeah. Except for
equal-ish.
4,
The
1, and
it's a
2.
float. Yeah, it's a floating scale. Some go up, some go down, some
4,
rise
1,
to
and
the
2
top.
is at the
some sink.
bottom.
Well, Thor 1 was kind of funny,
Mm.
but more like
Was
random
it
joke.
Natalie Portman
funny.
that was in that movie?
Yeah, she was in
She
the
was
first two.
bad. She was cringe.
Yeah.
Lady. She was bad. I liked the girl
Yeah.
from Two Broke Girls better than I did like Natalie Portman.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it's a good movie. Plenty
Yeah,
of Kiwi
Thor,
humor
yeah.
there for the Kiwis in there. I don't know how well the Kiwi jokes are gonna play over in
I
like
still
say the
think
United
they're
States.
funny, just on a joke level.
I don't think. Yeah,
I
I don't think people are gonna get called the big rock giant voiced by the director. I don't think
No, they're
anyone's
not
gonna
call
quite
it. No,
get the
there's no
humor.
way. Yeah.
So
The lady was funny. The lady from where's the Hunt for the Wilder People.
oh yeah,
The
yep.
police lady. She was like
yeah,
the second in
Re-
command to the
yeah, Rebecca something Long
oh,
maybe I
yeah.
can't remember.
She
Rachel.
was, she was
sorry.
the second in command to the what was it, the contest guy. What's his name?
The Game Master.
The game master. I don't think that's his name. Are you sure?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the Game Master.
All right. She was pretty funny. She like
Grey Master. Sorry.
Grandmaster. Yeah.
Sorry, I was slightly wrong.
She's actually I liked her a lot in this one. I didn't like her in Hunt for the Wilder People.
Rachel
She's good.
House.
Hmm.
Name is Rachel House.
Hats off to you, Rachel House. You not defended yourself. You redeemed yourself from. I know that you were just acting now, and you weren't just a bitch in Hunt for the Wilder People. So good on you.
I think we can't say enough good things about it. It's a good movie all
Yeah.
over.
Can I say a bad thing about it?
Go on.
I'm trying to think.
Uh,
I didn't overly like Carl Urban's character.
Carl
He was a
Urban.
bit one-dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. That was a bit of a weird
Yeah.
character to be in. You expected to be like someone fully evil, but he was like sort of like neutral and
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah, he was a little bit weird, but I mean, I can understand why the character was there. Yeah. No, that was my only little down bit. And the Hulk was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Can we spoil something? I guess it's in the trailers.
Yeah,
Anyway.
why not?
The Hulk does talk a bit, quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
It's normally like
Well,
very
considering he
short
was a new
sentences.
character in the first 3.
I would have liked a
Four.
little bit more explanation as to why that started happening all of a sudden.
It's probably because he's been there for 2 years
Yeah, I
as
guess
pure
so.
the Hulk, so
Been
you would
as pure,
sort of
yeah.
understand. So you'd understand there would be a little bit of sort of
I guess,
evolution.
like if you think about it, and the Hulk is like a newborn baby. Eventually, they do learn to talk. So, like 2 years being surrounded by that kind of stuff, eventually you'd probably pick it up.
Do you want to talk about like 2 Easter eggs that pop up there?
Huh?
The 2 Easter eggs where the Loki's having the stage play and who's playing
yes.
Loki? Matt
Oh,
Damon.
Matt
fucking
Damon.
Damon. It was like, what the fuck?
I wasn't sure at first, but then when I was different when I like figured it out completely, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
And,
god!
and
Matt
then
Damon.
playing Flag 4 is Luke Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth brother. It's
His
like,
older
what
brother,
the
yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
And then Sam
And then
Neill, the
Sam
Kiwi
Neill,
legend,
yeah.
pops up as Odin. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, it was actually really
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then on the serious end, the ship right at the end in the post-credit
Mm.
scene. If I want to spoil that.
You just did. Like, there's no point asking.
Oh well, sorry.
It apparently has a face. I don't remember seeing a face on the actual ship. Like, it actually has a face on it.
I can't remember it.
They didn't.
I think we need to see this movie again.
Yeah, probably. They didn't go into who it was at all. I'm thinking it's definitely Thanos, but
There's a few rumors going around that it is Thanos' ship.
I mean, it has to be. That's the next big movie where Thor will be in it. Like, unless
Well,
Thor's,
there's also an apparently a funny war. Apparently the Guardians of the Galaxy pop up and they find Odin, Thor, floating around in space.
right.
So
It's probably just been
could-
defeated by
yeah, it could be one of the things where Thanos goes, I'll look after your people, but I'm going to chuck you outside into space.
You
and
know
like,
what?
good fucking luck to you.
I reckon Loki, because
have.
Loki went into the what do you call it, the vault, He walked past the what do you call it? The
Tesseract.
the Tesseract. I
The
reckon he would have
space.
taken the Tesseract. Thanos
Could
would
have been.
have tracked it, or somehow had a way to get it, or no,
Way
to
to
know
find
where
it.
it is,
Yeah.
found the ship, and
Mm.
then destroyed it, taken maybe Loki and or just taken the Tesseract, and now he's got
And
like the
chucked
Tesseract.
everybody else out. So then, where the
Yeah.
hell's Hulking? Because you can't really lock Hulk in a freaking prison cell because it's Hulk.
Oh, I don't know.
Or
Maybe they
anywhere
sung.
else.
Maybe Thanos sung that the lullaby. Sleep
Yeah,
well. The sun is. I don't know. Yep. The sun is
whatever.
getting quite low. I don't know. There's some weird.
Something
Thing.
like that.
I hope
That's
that
right.
there's a lot of Thanos. I read a thing on the internet that that there could be quite like it's Thanos's movie rather than it
I
being an
hope
Avenger
so.
movies.
I hope so. I'm kind of tired of seeing the Avengers. I would like to
Yeah.
see some more characters crop up. Not that we need less more characters.
And the fact that he has like 4 or 5 henchmen, like actually like fully like they're separate kind of different henchmen, kind of makes me think that could be the way as well because they have to like develop these henchmen a little bit maybe.
Yeah, I think Kevin Feige said that the Infinity War is going to turn into a little bit of a heist.
Yes,
heist
yeah, like a Thanos
flick-ish
heist
sort of
movie,
thing.
which makes me think
Yeah.
it's going to be more about Thanos than actually about the
yeah.
Avengers, which is.
I
quite
hope
cool.
they don't. I hope they don't make Thanos like as seem like an anti-hero or a slightly good guy that they
No,
want to try and
no.
push. I hope they keep him like solidly evil.
Yes.
I just like make him full bad.
Yeah, like a
Just
few
like
jokes
smash
here
him.
and there, but they need to be like him
Deadpan.
decapitating something and then be like, ho, 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 ho,
He lost his head.
ho.
Or something. I don't
That's not a good joke. I don't know why I laughed.
know. I don't know why you laughed.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's consumer movie for the fortnight. My manga that I'm going to recommend is one that I'm not too sure about. If someone can read this and then comment and think whether what they think of this manga, it's called Evil Heart. So just English Evil Heart.
Go on.
And it's about a young boy who's has a lot of turmoil in his family. His father was domestically abusive, which then led he then left. His mother was kind of distant, and then his brother ends up becoming domestically abusive as well, beating up his mother and stuff, which leads to then his mother stabbing this kid's brother. And going to prison for it, and then this kid's brother's like become a yakuza and all this kind of stuff, and it's just,
Jesus.
and it's about this young kid. He's like a intermediate school kid, and he's angry at everything. He just loses his temper all the time, and it's just about what he's dealing with and how the teachers trying to kind of try and resolve it, and the delinquents in the school start taking interest in him because he's fighting a lot and this kind of stuff. And one of the teachers is trying to teach him martial arts to kind of help him with his anger and stuff like that. I've only read a few chapters of it. I'm not overly deep into it. It seems like it's going to be very, very good. But yeah, I mean, if someone comments in the bottom and says no, stop reading it, it's terrible, then I'll probably just stop reading it.
That sounds awfully dark to me.
Yeah,
honest.
it is. Like this kid is very fucked up. He's very messed up, and it's hard to. It can be a little bit hard to read because it doesn't explain it like an adult would understand it. It explains it almost as like a child was thinking the things. Like when you see his like thought bubbles appearing and stuff like that, they are very, very simple. And it's just it's quite cool. It's quite well done. I'm enjoying it a little bit. Do you have any books or anything that you want to?
At the moment I'm reading.
that same series that you've been reading for.
No, I finished on. I kind of like it's called The Call by Peter V. Brett. It's part of another series I can't remember the name of. The ending was kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
I feel like the ending just like was suddenly there. I'm like, well, I expected a bit more of a fight for characters, but
Right.
okay.
I hate that.
I think he left a few hooks open, so if he wants to like continue writing, he can with different characters. But yeah, overall, I did like the entire series. The entire series is pretty damn good, right up to the sort of last final boss fight. You just expect more of a sort of finale, should I say?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you got the heroic sacrifice and all that sort of jazz, whatnot. So yeah. Besides, the entire series is really good.
That's good.
Anyway, then I've moved on to another series called. It doesn't really have a series name because there's only 2 books in the series. Among Thieves by a guy called Douglas Hewlick. It's a heist
Oh,
book slashed with a little bit of magic, slashed in with a little bit of skullduggery, slashed a little bit of thieving, that sort of thing.
that's three
It's
slashes.
3 slashes. It's fairly entertaining.
Good.
It's a good book. I like the main character. He's a witty sort of guy, and he knows how to handle himself and scrapping. The guy wrote the world really well, and he explained it really well. And there's lots of like history to it, but it doesn't feel like you have to go read an appendix to find out the history of the world, because
You don't like that.
yeah, he explains it in like 1 or 2 paragraphs and
Right.
goes, right, so this is the history of the world. This is where we are right now.
Right.
Go.
Good.
So yeah, it's a decent book series. There's only 2. He's decided to not write a third because he
Ah,
came down with the black dog called depression.
yes.
So he decided to not get the third. He
That's
essentially
sad.
explained it in a Twitter thread that he was essentially getting depressed writing the third book.
Oh man.
And his wife, essentially, who's a clinical psychologist or something, said like, no, you've got to stop because it's making you worse.
Wow.
So he stopped. So he said maybe he'll come back to it at some
Yeah.
stage in the future. Hopefully he does, because I
Hopefully
would
he
like to
does.
see more.
Yeah,
but
hopefully he
yeah,
does.
the
As
series
he
is
gets better, he feels better.
yeah, it's a good little heist series.
Hmm.
Swan and Steel is the second one. The first one is Among Thieves by Douglas Hewlett.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's me. I
All
like
right,
it.
well, that's
Good book.
pretty much that's Consumer Corner done anyway. No, I can't use that. That's someone
Don't
else's thing.
do that anymore.
That's bad.
Stop.
I just it's Consumer Corner time, and then no,
That's even worse.
it's even worse.
You gotta
Okay.
come up with something.
I gotta come up with something. I'm
Go
not gonna
download
you know
some
this is...
audio program
Oh,
or something. You can
man.
tap keys and do something.
Okay, all right. Maybe I will do that. I probably won't. You'll probably see us next fortnight. It'll be exactly the same, and it'll be bad. Anyway,
And I'll
thank
just keep
you.
making my groove down.
Yeah, well, everybody does anyway. Thank you very, very much for listening. If you are listening, we really appreciate it. Otherwise, if you're not, then what are you doing with your lives? Come on, people. I don't know. Fuck. Yeah. Really appreciate if anybody is listening. Thank you. And peace out. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
See you.